today we are going to talk about what exactly guides you into taking shows into subsequent seasons, what it takes to build them, and what are the challenges within that. So, I'd like to begin with just getting a quick overview of audience taste right now. So, most of the big budget shows, big budget movies are not doing so well right now, and OTT, of course, has got a lot of love. And it's not a comparison, but it's just something that one observes currently. And you'd earlier said that during the pandemic, there were these comedies that were doing well. They were also followed by like crime thrillers that were doing well. So are we at all looking at genres, and are we looking at micro genres? And what is the audience really partial to right now on OTT currently?
Good afternoon, everyone. And that's a great question. We are never inundated with enough shows to greenlight. We love telling stories, and that's really at the heart of what we do, premium storytelling. What do audiences like? I think in India, uniquely, or maybe not so uniquely, we love our thali. There's a mix of, a little bit of spice and a little bit of sweet and a little bit of salty and all of it together. There's a crunch and a bite and all of it. And I think it reflects very similarly, honestly, with content as well, where we enjoy the big spectacle, of scale. We enjoy the intimate sort of drama of a family. We enjoy the pulsating sort of quality of a thriller. And of course, who doesn't enjoy a good laugh? We enjoy light shows. We like dramatic shows. We like, dark shows. So I do feel that yes, there are, genres like thrillers and comedies which tend to pop, and I think they tend to pop across the world. I'm not necessarily sure if it's an Indian phenomenon, but yes, our Indian audience loves their thrillers, but they also love their comedies and they love their dramas. If I just look across, the year that we've had, we started on a high in the same month of January with a romantic thriller. Our audience also loves like a great blend of stories with, great character motivations, different situations, a way to sort of decode our times, maybe a reflection of themselves in the stories. So where there was a Ye Kali Kali Aankhein, which is a romantic crime thriller, there's also Kapil Sharma, which is a comedy. And now we've, had the fantastic sort of response to Delhi Crime Season 2 and Fabulous Lives of Bollywood Wives within like 2 weeks of each other. So I think it just sort of corroborates, as long as the story is well told, as long as it's well made, it has a certain premium quality to it, I think the audience enjoys it.
Yeah, so it's a variety, and it's not that we're going to see a spate of matchmaking shows suddenly, all of a sudden, all over OTT. So, let's talk a little bit more about what we're here to talk about, building season 2, building sequels. So when a show becomes popular, it's watched and loved by many. I mean, there's so many fans waiting to see when the next season comes, what will be in it, and whether it will actually be made. So there's a lot of fan sentiment also around characters and things like that. So how do you really look at signals, and how do you look at softer signals, especially when it comes to sentiments? You said that this work on the second season starts with the first season itself, but I'm sure you take in a lot of fan sentiment. I'm sure you take in a lot of signals on what is really popular. So how do you accommodate that into building season 2?
Because of just how immersive series writing is, yes, there is no other way but to start the subsequent season, whether it's a season 2 and now for us season 3s as well, well in advance. So pretty much as soon as the writer's room is freed up, they've had a break and they're sort of thinking and researching for the next season. So it is, I would say, the great balance between creative intuition and, data to an extent. But I'll just qualify that. I think essentially the creative process is an intuitive process, and there is no great story that can come without that creative intuition. I think what I'd say is that data probably just helps inform a few things. I don't know if it was data or intuition. I'm a little lost now, but we were pretty sure that the police force of Delhi Crime 2 sorry, Delhi Crime season 1 was going to be a force to reckon with in season 2, and we really built them up. And Madam Sir was the most zeitgeisty word that I think season 1 threw out into the atmosphere. And Madam Sir's something that we really wanted to build along with her entire force. And I think they've got such a tremendous response. They've got so much love, just like the show, that it is a balance between what the audience is telling us, just putting your ear to the ground to be a little better informed. Another example would be, say, for example, in Masaba season 1, we knew that the Nina Ji and Masaba mother-daughter sparring sort of really worked. So we knew that, we'd amp that up a little bit. So, but at the core of it is a great story, which can only be embellished by a certain audience reaction.
Right. Let's take the data bit a little further. We know that individuals do make the decisions when it comes to investing in shows, but I'm sure you have so much of first-party data, that you can look into. So, do you really? How do you study it? Do you look at completion data? Do you look at key traits? Do you look at key arcs that have done well? Do you look at the peaks? I mean, it's envious the amount of first-party data you would have in terms of just what the audience is liking and at what point is it going away, at what point is it really loving the show. So what do you take from data, and especially when you go into building sequels?
If you believe it or not, I think the most key data point for us is just how much our members loved a particular title, how much joy did we bring to them, how much did they talk about it. I think a series is many things. A series is what appeals to the audience about this story, what is staying back with them, and most importantly, what are they talking about. So really having your ear to the ground, like I was telling you, and really looking for those cues and signs is really crucial to us. Yes, of course, we do get, certain trends. For example, we've had so many of our titles across films and series being seen trending across the top 10, not just in India, but like many, many countries. Delhi Crime, as of this morning, and I checked for today, is trending right now in 4 countries, and this is like, multiple weeks after launch. Our titles trend in the global top 10 non-English lists. Darlings was trending in 28 countries. Gangubai was the #1 non-English film in the global top 10 films. So it is, of course, it gives us, lots of insights into what audiences are watching. It helps us take better decisions and be informed about what kind of storylines, etc. But at the heart of it, I would sort of anchor it to a creative intuition and a diverse slate of premium content.
But I'm sure creators or people who make shows would also like to hear from you on what you guide and how you guide creators to keep it fresh, because novelty is such a big deal for viewers in the OTT space. They are inundated with shows. So be it stories, be it formats, be it treatments, novelty plays big here. So how do you really keep it fresh? Because creators can also kind of fall into this formula of, don't fix what's not broken. So how do you kind of guide them to keep it a little new?
From a season 2 perspective,
yes.
I think a bit of both. Again, don't seem to be taking the middle path, but essentially, I think when an audience comes into a second season, they're coming for what they originally loved. They've been immersed in a world. They love a set of characters. They love their language, or they love the way they, enact something or do something. But along with that, if you serve them the exact same thing in the subsequent season, that's not probably going to work. And I'm just going by an intuitive guess here. So I think there are 2 things that we do. We definitely are quite certain that for season 2, we've got to raise the stakes. If I look at Delhi Crime, I think that happened. If I look at She season 2, which was a phenomenal success for us again, we raised the stakes. But at the same time, that comfortable feeling of sort of, I know this world, I know these people, and I'll go back to my current favorite example of Madam Sir. Everybody loves her. Everybody loves the way we showed Delhi, or the way we treated crime with a certain sensitivity and authenticity. Right. And most importantly, bringing the real human side of the police force. They are the superheroes, but they don't have capes. I think just keeping that tonality and that authenticity alive in the case of Delhi Crime, along with a cast that they absolutely adore, anchoring it in the familiar, but bringing newness with the case or personal conflicts and definitely raising the stakes.
Right, and just extending that to how you also make people aware and keep it relevant. So I know people in Bombay would have heard Bella Chow playing in all the street processions. I'm so sure a lot of you would have heard, and it kind of signals that, okay, that comes from Money Heist, and I'm hearing it at this procession. So there's year on year, some of these hit global shows on your platform itself have kind of kept it very relevant. So do you have any learnings from how they've done that? And do you kind of incorporate it when you're marketing season 2 here or any subsequent seasons,
I think the pandemic has sort of taken away the language barrier altogether. It's not just Bella Ciao, it's shockingly kids playing Squid games. And I think it's a hat tip to the Emmy last night. It's really like a big win for us. So yes, I think the pandemic has opened up the way audiences consume and choose. And I think one of just like the diverse variety, they'd like to be in on the zeitgeist, in on the conversation with the most relevant things. So which explains the success of a Stranger Things or a Money Heist or a Squid Game in India, to my mind.
Talking about sort of bringing in newer audiences to watch the first season itself, because there'll still be people who haven't sampled it as such. So I've seen that you put Jamtara on YouTube. Now, what are your reasons behind doing that? And aren't you worried that people will wait for it on the other platform? What really do you look at when bringing in more audiences, fresher audiences, and make sure that they've sampled the show, sampled the first season?
I think we take a very unique per-title approach to marketing each of the titles. So it's something we take a lot of pride in. Our teams are, really curating the marketing campaign for each title, unique to what is the requirement of that title. So to your question, when we launched Jamtara or Delhi Crime Season 1, it was very early in our life cycle. And now 2.5, 3 years down, we've grown substantially, and we'd like to ensure that the audiences who are curious about this title, about this, subject, are actually sampling it, and it worked very well for us when we did, when we started promoting She Season 2. She Season 1 actually crawled into the top 10 for almost 2 or 3 weeks before launch, and similar for Kota Factory Season 1. So actually familiarizing our audience with the previous season is just a way for them to sort of refresh, segue straight into Season 2. We also do recaps so that the audiences who don't have time, are just sort of diving into the new season. So it is a very unique to the title approach. Our mantra is actually very simple: best by the title.
All right, this is my last question, coming to Delhi Crime, the Emmy-winning Delhi Crime now. The most important, rather prominent bits about it is that it's real, it's authentic. That's what critics and viewers have said. So what really makes it so different? Because we've got realistic shows, we've seen realistic shows. So what makes this one so different? And just when you were building season 2, what were the challenges really creatively, logistically? Because it's not really something that you can quickly get out of the box. It's something that you have to work towards. So what were the challenges creatively and logistically, of course?
Like I was telling you earlier about raising the stakes, how do you raise the stakes from Delhi Crime Season 1? That in itself was like as large a problem statement as can exist. But I think we took a creative leap where Delhi Crime was very deeply about a real case. We wanted to talk about a slightly larger subject, which is the class divide, and the humanizing of the police force. And those are the two things we upfronted in Delhi Crime Season 2. So it was I will say it was a chance, but it was a brave one that we sort of all got together and punted, and whether it's Tanuj or Shefali, the whole cast, they actually backed us to sort of take that punt and not base this on a real case, but actually talk about society and crime, which is the large conversation which I think now, thank God, on hindsight, we managed to successfully generate about the very drastic class divide that exists, the problems of the police force. I think one of those dialogues that Bhupi says, kya galat kar rahe hain hum? And Shefali asks him, and he says, I don't know, but there's just no time to think. Before you can solve the first case, the next one is knocking at your door. Where else do you see such a vulnerable side of the police? We love to criticize them. We love to sort of, talk about if they're doing their jobs or not. But this is really like from the perspective of the cops, crime and the world we live in, and the challenges that pulls at them, both from a professional and a personal angle. And I think that's the balance that really sort of triggers the right emotions.
And that sets it in motion, even though it takes a bit of time, right, to get there. So, well, anyways, that's all we have right now. Tanya, thanks for joining me. And I'm sure you'll also have fun talking about Delhi crime in the next session. So,
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. They deserve a round of applause. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Shweta.